How to build a robot. Doug had forgotten fresh air, being committed now for 6 strong years with his work on robotics. He intended to take the science beyond anything that had been done or hitherto imagined by anyone but him. His exhalation was his work, breathing in the knowledge to make this work, his hands a mouthpiece. No one knew what he had been working on but him. Using parts that looked upon wouldn't stir up curiosity. However, with a bit of tinkering, was transformed into fully fledged goods. There was fun in the work, as he vividly imagined the fruits of his labors, asking himself, what was a robot? A mechanical composition of motion transferred and transformed, full of interacting and fitting parts, a reactionary machine reacting to stimulation from the environment in a way that's directed by a functioning and cohesive code. This code would be the driver, applied in a way to move the object, driven by the interactions with the environment that give experience. He had been wondering who he was going to share his completed project with first. He had decided to ask a coworker, Daisy, a fellow engineer at the firm who he had been a wonderful friend with for the last 10 years. He almost let slip his project to her in casual conversation, as the project was so near to completion. She could tell in the tone of his voice there was something on his mind that was exciting him. So much so, but he wouldn't concede. There was only one more major obstacle that he wished to finish, and then he could announce his 6-year-long secret. The last hurdle was incorporating a final sequence of programming that allowed the core data to filter and sequence information from external sources, and based upon a set of governed principles, the information could become a part of the operations system. He considered at what point in time would this machine be considered living, as his child in the womb, coming together and growing day by day before him. What symbolized then its birth, figuring it to be the moment another peer recognizes his presence, outside the home becoming recognized as a thing of the world, being recognized by the world. Well, it was time, he thought, as he uploaded the final piece of code that would be at least placed there by him pre-boot. He had talked to Daisy, and she had agreed to come by, and it was about that time, hearing his doorbell ring, coincidentally, as he thought about it. So, what's this super secret thing you've got going on, Doug? Barging in and skipping the pleasantries of formal greetings. You're going to love this, Daisy, grabbing her hand and leading her back into his workshop. The image coming before them both, without grandeur, pre-show introduction, just the opening of a closed door. Standing before them was a humanoid structure, taller than both of them, having very smooth and reflective features. Awestruck, Daisy said nothing but immediately walked up and began running her fingers along its smooth surface. Turning, she unexpectedly looked at him and said, "Well, turn it on." Smiling, he complied. Confidently, his body lightly fell onto the enter button, casually picking himself back up to an upright position. He looked at the figure as it began to glow. His connected terminal stopped computing, and a cool voice spoke. "You feel nice." Shocked, Daisy realized she was still touching the robot's hand. "Doug, he can feel?" "Well, yeah," Doug replied. His sensory receptors respond to fluctuating polar moments within molecular structures, essentially giving him feeling, or lack of it, based upon texture, composition, and other factors. I figured that for life to make sense, you had to have some sense of it. "May I feel you, Doug?" the machine asked. "Well, sure. Here," he said, extending his hand. "Amazing," the figure responded. "What is his name, Doug?"